Welcome to Retire Early Pro. My journey, it started like many other people's, following the conventional wisdom that society provides. Go to school, try to get the best job you can, follow something you're interested in. I was always interested in numbers, so I went to business school and became a professional accountant. However, once I started as a professional accountant and was working long hours for extremely low pay and living in a high cost of living city, I found the situation just didn't sit well with me, and I knew there must be a better way. But I decided to stick with it because I knew once I became accredited as a professional accountant, I would have many more options. Once I did become qualified, I was able to seek out an opportunity internationally in the Caribbean in a market where they valued my skills as an accountant far more than my current market, which allowed me to work on more interesting work with higher profile companies and be paid substantially higher. I was actually able to receive over a 250% pay increase. And then as time went on, I found again my values were changing to a point where I wanted more flexibility. And having established my credibility and my work as an accountant with my employer, I was able to negotiate to become a contractor, which offered me more flexibility where I would be able to work less dependent on my exact location and more being able to deliver my results. And additionally, there were some benefits in becoming a contractor where you're able to deduct far more business costs, and typically you're paid a higher pay because you're not receiving benefits as well as other factors. So again, after becoming a contractor and doing it for a few years, we're finding that my values were changing a little bit, right? Being based in the Pacific Northwest, it's quite cold, quite rainy for a significant portion of the year. And my wife and I were finding we were interested in a warmer climate where we might be able to be closer to the beach while continuing to work our jobs. So we took a little mini test where we would work remotely online from Costa Rica, where we were able to get up early in the mornings, walk the beach, enjoy some of the local sites, and be online by 10 a.m., which was our normal start time with the hour time change. And it was amazing. We were able to take advantage of geo arbitrage with things being a little bit cheaper. The weather was great, and we were still able to get our work done the same as we would at home. So it was a great experience, and from that we went back and we were thinking about how can we do this again in maybe a more significant manner. About a year later, we geared up for a mini test retirement where we took 9 months off to travel through South America, Morocco, and Southern Europe. This time, we weren't actually working while we were doing it, but we were going to more cost effective places that allowed us this freedom. But instead of your typical backpacking or nomading route, we were really wanting to find out if we liked these places, and we were doing more of a lifestyle travel where we would stay at a spot for a month. We would be able to enjoy the city more like the locals do, or enjoy the beach and get to know some of the where the market is, the local restaurants, and the local activities. But we were also able to do things online, whether it's creating websites, pursuing other passions, and connecting with people in the communities that we're in. And we found it to be an incredible experience. But we also learned having just the time without, the access to the computer, access to some of our business passions, we wouldn't have been stimulated, and it's not something we were looking for. And on this trip, we really learned that Coast Fire is something that was more appealing to us than a full retirement because, first of all, you get to get this freedom years earlier than traditional fire. And because of that, you can have a much higher income in this retirement because it takes years earlier. Maybe you can find this middle ground where you would have more than your typical fire number, but you get to do it way sooner. It's flexible. You can turn it up or down depending on your outlook of the next year. Maybe you have an expense coming in where you're helping out a family member or you're taking a bigger trip out that costs more than your standard budget. And you still can pursue that just by working a little bit more. Um, you continue to stay stimulated. You have your work colleagues, and you're not as isolated as some people feel in traditional fire. And lastly, it's up to you, right? Like it changes over time, right? Maybe you're going back to full time work for 2 years, then you're taking a year off, and then you're going back to full time work again. Like there's so many iterations of it, and that's what I think is beautiful about it. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe below and look out for future videos where I plan to share some of the learnings I've learned over the past 12 years on my fire journey and professional experience as a CPA. Some topics will include how to determine your fire number and put it through a stress test, strategies to accelerate your path to financial independence, what are the primary financial independence levers and what situations they work best in, and how to create and execute a fire blueprint. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on future episodes.